ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Universal Lens. It's still 2023.
Is it?
Yeah, for one more day. Hello, I'm John Emilio.
And I am Henry Belcher, bringing you the news.
In the news?
In the news today, Bob.
Bob? Who's Bob?
Overturned tractor trailer on I-95.
That's about what it sounds like, yeah. That's about what it sounds like.
Pleasure to be back with you guys.
Yeah. Hope everybody had a nice Christmas festive week.
We did. Oh, I got to tell you something.
What?
We did this on camera last week. We talked about starting different.
Did you do it?
I did it.
Oh, how'd it go? I didn't do it. I completely forgot.
I got to tell you, it didn't go perfectly, right?
That's expected, but.
And I just got to tell you a little bit of my feedback, right? So here's some feedback. We had a great crew, okay? There was love in the room, right? So, a lot of us are dealing with stuff, but for the most part, everybody there, it was a great vibe, like great. We all love each other, it's family, so everybody's got their thing. But a lot of love in the room. So before I handed out the first gift, I had the gift in my hand, so I was hoping to have their attention. I wasn't successful because as I found out, and I said it, I was trying to talk. I said, before I hand this gift out, I want to talk about something real quick. I'm like, uh-oh. So some people are listening, and some people are chatting amongst themselves. and then I had commentary, and then I have the eye rolling from my daughter, or whatever it is. I got everything going. I got if there were a barrel of crickets making it, they were everything's going on here. And I'm like, I started my speech with saying, guys, I don't know if you noticed this, but every year we get older. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I mean, that's an opening line, guys. And they're talking like, guys, like, I know attention spans are shortened, but I just want to say something real quick. I'm like, yeah, and they kept on talking. All right. So I don't know if you noticed, but every year we get older. But are we just going to allow it? Are we just going to allow time to pass and say, oh, we're older, and we don't get wiser for it? Is that what we're going to do? Is that what we decided? Is that we're just going to keep on blindly going about our business? So let's hope to gain some wisdom as time goes on. So I've learned some things. And, one of the things that I want to say, start with us and our crew. You can participate if you'd like. There's nobody's forcing you to do anything here, but it would be nice. I'd like to start a situation where, as soon as you get a gift, then you got to say something nice. You pick something nice about the person sitting next to you. The left, the right, doesn't matter. You pick. It's a very loose and fluid exercise. Just trying to start something different, start something new. And I can't tell you the feeling you're going to get when you do it. How grateful you are about this person, something nice that they've done, something you admire about them, whatever it is, your spin, your flair. And I said, and I'll start. Right. So it's easy for me. Like I got my daughter to my right of me, and I had my brother-in-law like kind of behind me, and I had my wife right here. So it's easy for me to pick my daughter and say something nice about my daughter, my brother-in-law or my wife. But I'm not going to start with them. I'm going to start with the guy who came to my house who is not part of our family. He's a friend of my niece. I started with him. And he doesn't fit in my house in the traditional sense. He's your millennial. He's got the various sexualities and, the earrings, and he's a guy, but he wears like a girl's like hair. Imagine something completely out of the norm. But he's a human being, and he's a great dude. Like, I got along great with the guy, and I've known him from he was younger. Like he was a kid. So I said, I'll start with him. And I was like, my speech to him about him was, you could have picked any family to spend your Christmas Eve with, and you picked us. I am totally floored. Like, I'm grateful for you for picking us. We love having you here. And we see, we had a great time with him, so he was cool. And it was a nice experience. And it was something that kind of hit a few people like, oh, that was unexpected. Like, see,
great.
like
It's beautiful.
that's great. So I started the gift giving. I gave the gift. My niece was the first one up, and she did it. And she said something nice about, I think it was her fiance. I was like, great. And we kept going with it. So some people played hooky on it, and some people stayed true, and some people like ignored it, like, okay, it's not happening next. No problem. I didn't want to put anybody on the spot.
No. It's not going to benefit anybody.
But the iceberg has been cracked. Now, if I do it next year, it's to be expected.
Sure.
And we'll get a little bit more traction. And I hope to, it's a soft push, but I hope to softly push this into their lives. So kind of give them the benefit that I've been getting. I told you of being grateful, of being conscious, because it takes somebody to take you out of your unconscious zone, if you know what I'm saying. Like it's not something you're going to come to that conclusion on by yourself.
No.
Right? So I didn't get you so you got me an iPhone and I got you a thermos, We're out of proportion. So in my mind, I'm freaking out, right? Because John got me an iPhone and I got him a thermos. Oh my God. I look like a fucking asshole. And that's the only thing playing around. So I'm thinking, you're thinking, what kind of a cheap fuck is Henry? I got the guy an iPhone. So, it's very unconscious and it's very unproductive, very stupid, right? No. Like, this exercise forced you or softly introduced you to, John, I'm very grateful for your gift. And, gift aside, I'm grateful for your friendship, your everything. I mean, it's you mean a lot to me. The iPhone just became this big, And that feeling you get, that wouldn't have happened if you just would have accepted the iPhone. I gave you the thermos. Oh, thanks. Oh, bro, sorry about just got your thermos. It's like, get the fuck out of here. And stayed right here, the superficial level.
Yeah, on the superficial level.
That's everything. So hopefully
next year, you get a little bit more involvement.
Hopefully.
Well, now, I mean, the first year is always tough. You have people with different, mindsets. They might not be ready to. They have a voice that tells them, "I don't want to talk. I don't want to say nothing." And that's very common with human beings, with people in general, myself included, where we're going to have that voice that says, I really don't want to talk in front of everybody right now. And it's not they don't want to say something nice about the person next to them. They feel like they can't because something's holding them back from saying.
You have that little anxiety. You have that little pullback. And we can't explain it.
And noticing that anxiety, noticing that pullback is the key. And then taking the uncomfortable step forward to do it anyway.
Yeah, and I don't want to force anybody.
No. I'm talking about you. I'm saying the person in general who's going through this. That would be the progression. Would be to feel the block, feel the anxiety, feel the apprehension of wanting to say something for whatever reason. I'm embarrassed. I'm shy. What if it doesn't come off right? Whatever it might be, right? You're still minding give you 10 stories, and then to instead say, I see that, I feel that, right? And yet I'm still going to take that step, uncomfortable, and I preface that word that uncomfortable step forward to do it anyway, because maybe it's something that you really value. Maybe that person is something you really want to say something nice about them, right? But you don't because of perception, society's perception. Society can kiss my ass.
Yeah, and a big driver of why I want to do this, and I never thought about it, but it hits me like a big driver of why I want to do it is because I keep thinking I keep thinking of the day where, you're on your deathbed or you're on
Jesus.
like you're on your way out.
Yeah. No regrets.
Even if you're not on your deathbed, but you're in your late 70s and you're like, like if I wake up today, okay, today's not the day. Like I don't want to leave to the other side without having it known, right? Like
that you express to people how you feel.
Understand?
Yeah, no regrets. You don't want to leave any regrets.
I mean,
and I use the word regrets a little loosely, but you want people that you care about to know how you really felt about them.
Right. No regrets on that side.
On that side.
Not, shit, I should have bungee jumped,
No, yeah. I mean, listen, that's whatever. That's probably a conversation you could have also. But yeah. Not, when I say no regrets, I mean no regrets on the, with telling people how you feel.
Right.
And it's not even, maybe regret probably is the wrong word, but it's really, you just want to make sure that you express to somebody how you feel about them.
Yeah, because, once you're gone, you're gone. That's it.
Yeah, but it's, and you know why? You know why most people don't? Why a lot of people hold back on that? Because of the perception in their own minds that says, it's going to sound, I don't want to, he knows, she knows, like the assumption. They know I love them. I don't have to tell them I love. I mean,
some of that is true.
Not saying, some of that is true. And I'm not saying you have to profess your feelings every day to everybody that you see constantly to reassure them that you love them. No, that's not about that, because that's probably unhealthy also. But it's about, just letting, if it's that person that you haven't told or you haven't said something to, but you're like, you know what? This person does mean a lot to me. I want them to know, like, hey, bro, you've been there for me. And I appreciate when you were there for me. And thank you very much. And if I never say to you again, I said it to you now. And if you forget it, well, that's your fucking problem.
But yeah,
so,
and
that's cool. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah,
I'm glad you did it.
I think the more in tune you are with that, it's the more inner peace. I hate to call it such a cliche thing, but it's like the more inner peace you have. It's weird. It's very weird. Like I said,
you could have inner peace while your body is not agreeing with inner peace. Right? You realize that, right? People assume inner peace is, first, I want to thank you, my niece Nicole got me this for Christmas.
Beautiful.
I also was a Universal Lens thermos, and I love the thermos because it'll keep my tea hot for the whole show.
Love that.
Yeah. Well, my nephew's girlfriend, I call her my niece because they've been together for such a long time. It's just easier.
Yeah.
It's, what was I saying? It's this is what we were saying before, where I start off with one thought and then my mind goes pop, 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 and I end up with this great idea and it ends up being a crock. But yeah,
you start with an iPhone and you end up with an alligator with a top hat.
What was I saying? What were you saying?
That you can have inner peace.
You could have inner peace while your mind is. You could have inner peace even if your mind isn't cooperating. Like that's the difference. The difference is always remembering that we are not the thoughts. Like people associate inner peace with a quiet mind, right? And listen, there are plenty of times where you do have a quiet mind and it feels phenomenal. But you can't expect that inner peace to always be like that. It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't work like that, right? It's not the way it works, because the mind is not going to always be quiet or obeying or, playing nice, quote unquote, just to say. It's not always going to do that. So that inner peace can still be there even when the thoughts are rampant, or there's an emotion or a feeling, whether it's anxiety or whatever, sadness or angst, whatever it might be that you might have there. You could still anchor and feel something behind it that is calm. That's inner peace. Your anxiety levels might be a little high. You might feel it in your body. Doesn't mean that you don't, but you're not attached to that anxiety. So you're experiencing it, which is a very surreal feeling from being it, right? So like I could experience a little bit of anxiety, but not be the anxiety. And I know that sounds maybe that can sound a little foreign, but it's really not. Because if I am the anxiety, now I've bought hook, line, and sinker into it. I have a story about it. I'm talking the story about it. I'm trying to figure out a way around it. I am it. I must conquer it. I have to defeat it. I have to... Okay, let's just keep going and going and going and going and going.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah. Hello. It's not far down you go. I have dug holes a foot deep and realized it. Shit, I've got to get out.
Right.
And I stopped digging. I mean, and I know Henry says all the time, oh, you've accomplished so much. You've done all this. And I'll say, I'm a human being. My mind will at times want to shove a rod right up my butt. It's just what it wants to do it. It's going to be like, hey, John, how about this?
Yeah.
So even if I'm experiencing or he's experiencing, you're experiencing something, just that inner peace that we always talk about, or that I talk about, and I try to mention a lot, is it's not that your mind is playing nice and your mind is quiet. It's there's something behind it that you're noticing, that you're experiencing this, but you're not it. And that's that inner peace. That you could feel anxiety in your body and not be an anxious person. Which is a very weird thing to kind of say. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling anxiety right now, but I'm not anxious. Okay, how does that happen? Well, your body has a reaction. Your body's going to react to a thought, independent of what you, the watcher, the one who's aware, is actually, because it doesn't really have a voice. The awareness just points focus where it wants it. So if you have an anxiety-provoking thought, and you give it enough credence in the beginning, that anxiety-provoking thought could trigger a response in your body. That's how it works. So now you have a little bit of anxiety in your body, but you're watching it happen to you. You're not attached to it. And I think that's where
you noticed it.
You notice it. And that's where the inner peace really comes into play.
And that's where mindfulness is basically you notice it. So you notice that there is this anxiety producing thought that is wriggling around in there, but you're not, oh my God. I mean, no.
Yeah.
You just see it, right? Just like you can see many other things. You just notice it.
Sure.
But you're not grabbing onto it. You're not latching onto it.
You're not latching onto it.
And I got to say, like, this is a very practical thing. I'm going to tell you, I don't know if I've mentioned it before here, but I think I've mentioned it to you off air. And I think I mentioned it to my coach, my life coach, who, shout out to Nikki. I hope you're watching. Anyway, I was always very afraid of a lot of anxiety of speaking in public, but it's always a skill that I've always wanted to have. Like, I envision myself being
I'm the same way, yeah.
Like, I envision myself being able to talk in front of crowds, and like everybody's pleased with my speech. Like, wow, that, and at the end, like, oh, it's very, very good speech. Okay, but that was me. I hit. But like, I am deathly afraid of the event. In other words, all sorts of anxiety. Oh my God. Put it to you this way. Like, I grew up in a family business that I helped grow. And we got to such a scale once that we had this huge, the end of the year parties were becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh my God. Now they became like a little gala. Like, so everybody's dressed up, suit and tie, and everybody goes to this gala. And my father's like, yeah, and you're going to say a speech. I'm like, I'm like, and at that time, like, you muscle through, and you're nervous, and you do this bullshit. But if you really want to help yourself, it's the grateful mindset strips away that anxiety, strips away that fear. I can't explain. I can't make the correlation for you. All I know is that you have such an overwhelming feeling of gratitude that you'll stand up in front of anybody in any crowd and say, let me tell you how grateful I am. Because you are so sure that the anxiety of that public speaking becomes non-existent. So just a little pro tip there.
Listen, public speaking is a big one. Public speaking is a big one. I've never been a big public. I never thought I'd be on camera doing a podcast either. I got comfortable with this.
Right.
The same way, if you wanted to speak in front of people, the first time you did it, even with the gratitude, it would still feel awkward.
Oh yeah.
It would feel foreign. It would feel weird. It would feel wrong. You would think words are coming out in different languages when you're speaking. That's just normal because it's something new and foreign. But if you do it enough times, like anything else, you acclimate to it, and you'll get used to it. And as long as you don't keep buying into the anxiety, sure, then you'll get better at it, or more comfortable at it. You get more comfortable where it flows better. You're going to feel more at ease when you're up there, just naturally, instead of having to say, okay, I know I feel anxious, but I'm going to be here anyway. And even if you could strip that away somewhat in the beginning with gratitude and everything, which yes, you can, but it's always going to feel, I think, still a little bit like, like the.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes those bodily reactions can't be helped. So.
But that gratitude, I'm saying, gratitude paves the way for you to
actually get up there. It gets you over the hurdle of a deer in headlights. Where you're like this, I can't move. Am I going up there? No. Well, you actually say, no, I'm going to go up there. And even when you're up there, like, holy shit, what am I doing up here? But it gets you up there. So yeah, no, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. So the thoughts, going back to Christmas, I know I thought
that was great. I'm glad you did. I forgot to do it. I just completely forgot. But I'm glad you actually did it. A friend of mine, I told my buddy Lewis. I had coffee with him on Tuesday, Wednesday. What's today? Saturday, right?
Yeah, Saturday.
So probably Tuesday or Wednesday, I had coffee with him in the morning, and we were talking because he just completed the life coaching, right? He's trying to figure out what he wants to do with it. But we were talking, and he actually told me that he did something similar, where he went around on Christmas. I think it was Christmas Eve night or Christmas Day. Got a piece of paper and taped it to everybody's back, and everybody had to go around the room, take the paper off the person's back, and write something nice, something that they were that they liked about the person or they admired about the person, some sort of term of gratitude for that person, and then they would tape it back. And you had to go to everybody, and everybody had to go to you, and you never knew who was kind of writing, because they take the paper off, they'd walk away, they write something on it, and then 2 minutes later they put the paper back, and then somebody else would grab the paper. So it was kind of a just motion of going around. So you really never know who wrote what unless you know everybody's handwriting. Right. But and he said they did it because they actually went off really well. He was surprised. And it's a couple of older Italian people, right? So a little bit more
reserved.
They're
not used to
expressing.
Yeah.
He goes, and they all did it, and he goes, it actually worked out really well. I'm like, you know what? That's another good idea. And I said, it's funny you said that in our last episode. I said, me and Henry were talking about kind of doing this circle where you say something nice about the person next to you. I'm like, but I kind of like this idea a little. Because if there is somebody who's kind of reserved, this is their way to still do it anyway. Because they're like, I don't have to talk for everybody. Right. I could just go, I could write loving person, love this person, great day, blah, 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 whatever. And I could put it right back on their back. So yeah, it was kind of funny because he did the same exact thing.
I noticed that. And I think this is the challenge that we have. And I say we, I mean, like guys like me and you, where we're looking at our families and our friends and our groups and our circles, and we can see the unconsciousness, right? We can see it.
Mm-hmm.
We want to help, but damn, it's hard to, like you're just mentioning, there's a lot of older Italians, and think about it, right? So, most of the time when you say older Italians, they immigrated here, like they weren't born here. So just that step is big, because imagine yourself now having to go live somewhere else. You're always thinking about America, right? That's how I used to live in America. So there's this thing where life hasn't been too kind to you feeling. And because life hasn't been too kind to you, you've developed this thick outer shell that won't be penetrated, and I'll be tough, and I will harbor my feelings, and I will put this tough face for life because I'm, and they become that shell, not being able to express that they really love somebody,
sure,
or express that really hurt me, or express how I'm happy. They have a tough time with it. So how do we help those people along? And I think these exercises are really good. And they make us feel a little bit uncomfortable at the moment, because I gotta be honest with you, I was uncomfortable, but
it's normal, right?
But I am so convinced of the benefits of what I'm doing that I did it. And just like that public speaking, analogy, you get the butterflies, because I had butterflies.
Yeah.
Because
some people don't just normally, and that's great for them. But
I knew people were looking at me weird. I know it, and I'm okay with. I have to be okay with that, because it's more that exercise. I want you to feel that feeling, because unless I provoke this exercise, you're not going to get that tingle. You're not going to get that feeling. And once you get that feeling, you're going to understand. We're going to have this connection that, like, oh shit, all right, I see what he's doing here. And if you're that kind of a thinker where, I can see where you're going with it, you're gonna be a good aid for me. You're gonna be a good helper. Like, I was able to pinpoint a few people in the audience who had one toe in my world, and they wouldn't be opposed to exploring
it.
I like that. I like seeing that. And I even got to the point that now, focused on my kids, I totally expected my kids to not participate. But my daughter surprised me.
Really?
She surprised me.
Wow,
She
that's
said,
great.
Now I'll say something nice about, and she did it herself, because I wasn't pushing it. Simply put, it became a little bit of a troll. Right? When I got to my wife, I'm like, oh, no speech, because I know my wife is not going to say anything to anybody. So I was like, Grandma, nothing. The irony was, oh, she just she goes, she lost her voice.
Did you really?
It's like,
That's funny.
Grandma magically lost her voice.
Voice.
Okay. But honestly, so guys like us have this challenge ahead of us where we want to introduce you to the world without, like, there's no forcing, but we want to introduce you to it softly. Because if you have that taste, you'd be like, I like that. That was good. And so it's really helped me, let's say, change my behavior amongst family. I can't tell you what a good time we had.
That's great.
We had a good time. Where I used to be the old unconscious person with, just like I mentioned, the old I also had my shell, my thoughts.
Oh, I was the same way.
Right?
Sure.
You're not penetrating, and that's how I operated. And now it's different. Don't get me wrong. In this headspace, you have the same guy, you have the same thought patterns, so there's a lot of things going on, but you're choosing which way you want to go, or which thought you want to have, or what. So because I was able to choose, I had a super pleasant experience in Christmas. I had a super good time with people that you would say you have zero in common. Yeah, I know. But we actually have things in common.
You actually have.
Yeah, and it's not, it becomes about that feeling. I can't explain it, but that spark, that feeling, like you said, we talked about it last episode, the Christmas feeling, the family feeling, the Thanksgiving feeling, that I like that feeling. And I let it sit. All right, this is the filter we're going to put on, so I let it sit. It allowed me to really ebb and flow from, talking to a young girl who's about to get married, to talking to a single mom, to talking to a trisexual, young kid who's a great kid, but freak. And you know what? Let's talk about that freakiness. I could be a freak too. And you just have this, and you get along with everybody. It was great. It was really good.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And this is during a time where, on a personal level, my shit is upside down.
Which is a testament to the work that you've done, because when things aren't going our way, the mind tends to want to focus on that, and if we allow it to, we get stuck there, and we stop noticing everything around us, everything that's happening around us, how life is happening now in the present moment, because we're, you're waiting for, and I actually had this thought this morning, am I gonna, are we gonna wait to feel better to start enjoying life? Or am I going to enjoy life now in spite of what's happening?
Yeah.
So am I going to wait for, I'm trying to find the right words. Am I going to wait for the right, for the circumstances to be in a certain order? There's a word I'm trying to figure out, but I can't. But am I going to wait for the circumstances to be a certain way for me to enjoy my life? If and only then will I be able to enjoy my life when this happens. Okay, well, that statement is very kind of daunting, because, hold on, so until that happens, we're in a holding pattern of anxiety and whatever else we're going through. Well, this is like Dr. Joe Dispenza. Why can't I bask in what it's going to be like now and live my life that way as I'm traveling through whatever I'm traveling through? Why do I have to live with, until, and I'll use me as an example. I was telling Henry before the show, last few days I've had a little bit of ringing in my ears, right? I don't know how you pronounce it. Tinnitus. People have different.
People just talking shit about you.
Yeah. Well, somebody's been talking shit about me for a few days, right? And it's bugged me for a couple of days. It really has, and it actually took me down a little bit of it's taking me down a rabbit hole, and the rabbit hole's still next to me. I'm not gonna.
Right. You're not in China yet.
I'm not holier than thou. This is one of the things I've always said on the show is, my experiences are real, and I'm a real person, and that's why we always try to bare our souls. But if I'm gonna wait until it clears up for me to enjoy or engage in life, A, I'm gonna feel worse. B, it's gonna get wetter. It's gonna get wetter. It's gonna get worse, right? It's gonna amplify, right? And C, I'm missing out on what's happening in my life.
That's what I was gonna say.
Or I should say A, 2, and D. Like A, 2, and D. That's
Yep.
that was Home Alone.
You're not gonna get back those minutes and hours.
No, you can't. And so if you're gonna wait to engage in life until circumstances are a certain way, what happens if those circumstances never go that way? Which can happen in life, right? We don't know what life has in store for anybody. So now not only are circumstances not the way we ideally would want them to be, but on top of it, we've not been engaging in life for the last X amount. When I say that, and this is, I always tell people, you want to know how you know you're on the right path. When I say that, I get warm and fuzzy inside. Like when I say that, why would I want to miss out on life because something's not going my way right now, or because I'm waiting for something to be a certain way? Like when I say that, something resonates in me. And I go back 8-9 years ago, like, and I forget I was talking to you all. I might have been talking to you. No, I was actually talking to my wife's cousin. My wife's cousin Robert. And this is before I started doing any work with this at all. This was like day 1, day 2 of it. Like I was at the beginning of this. And he said to me, he goes, John, he was talking on the phone with me. He goes, John, can you see a light at the end of the tunnel? And I almost started crying on the phone. I was like, God, yes, I can see the light. He goes, that's all you need to know. In other words, that was like me saying now, I could see how I want life to be. I just didn't realize at that moment that I could live that life now in spite of not just wait. So that was like the circumstances of, I could see when everything's going to be like, I could see it right there. It's right behind you, Henry. I see that picture. That's how it's going to be. When it's like that, it's going to feel great. Okay, but from here to there, what happens? Do I not live life? Do I not engage in life? Do I not become part of it? As I'm saying this, right? Literally, I can feel endorphins in my body, like kicking in a little bit.
Yep.
Because it's like, yes, it resonates. Yes. Why do we want to wait? Why do we want to wait for life to be, for life circumstances to be great, to enjoy life? Enjoy on whatever level, with your kids, with your family, whatever it is. Why do we want to wait for that? Right. And I always say that's the biggest, that's like the main ingredient of all of this is like, life's not going to play nice sometimes. It's not. It's going to give you kicks in the nuts. It's going to give you headaches to deal with, problems, issues. It's just the way life goes. So we could wait until those issues resolve to enjoy life, or we could enjoy life now as it is, right? With whatever we're going through, and be present in our lives. And that is like, when I say that, and that's like the whole Dr. Joe thing, like with gratitude and envisioning what you want it to be and living it. That's what he's talking about. So like what therapists talk about in ACT, which is kind of that, like, accept what it is, commit to what you want to do. And that's a form of therapy, right? It's living your life now in spite of what's happening, by your values, by what you want to do. Right. And I think that's something I want people to not forget ever. If you're working towards something, that's great, but you don't have to wait for that thing to hit for you to feel or live your life a certain way. I get it, you want to be a millionaire. All right, so you don't have the physical $1 million. You can't live the life of a millionaire, but it doesn't mean you can't live with the feeling that that's going to happen someday. And just so, okay, it's going to happen. And I'm going to keep working towards it. But why do I want to miss out on life now until that happens? Like, so when it happens, what happens if it happens in 30 fucking years? So now you're 70 years old, right? Or me, I'll be 80 almost. Okay, that's great. Now I'm 80. I got the $1 million. Yay! I'm finally happy. And I die of a heart attack the next day. So I've spent how much of my life never experiencing, never engaging, because I needed things to be a certain way. And you're suffering, you're miserable probably, you're upset, you're, dealing with all sorts of emotions because you're anchoring them, and you're not looking past them.
And here's a so like alongside that, this is a very hard thing to accept, and it's a very hard thing to remember, but it's true. You said to me, that you learned somewhere that we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously,
Don't take your life so seriously.
right?
I have it in my house in Poconos. No one gets out alive anyway. That's what it says.
So that is basically a little bit of a catalyst for we are like a player in a video game,
Avatars.
right? And we don't see it that way every day. It only takes that moment of reflection where
It's hard to keep that. It's hard to keep that mentality 24/7. Really, because life. If we lived outside in the jungle in nature, you'd probably be more zen than anything else. You really would. But unfortunately, our lifestyle, we're gonna get pulled into mommy, daddy, little kids, problems, issues.
Yeah.
So you get pulled out of that anchoring, and you get dragged into life
because
it's not easy to keep that always. But
because in the video game that is your life, you get caught up in this, and then you don't realize
you could pull away from the TV.
You're in a video. Oh, son of a bitch.
It's like being, your mom said, step away from the TV. You're going to go blind because you were so close to it like this. But if you took a step back, all of a sudden you see the whole TV screen. You see the whole video game. You see, like, there's more to this than just that. But it's about, I love that analogy, by the way, pulling back, right? It's even the things that I forget, like me. And we preach them on this show every week, right? And I have to remind myself sometimes. The same way, by the way, Eckhart Tolle does, Sadhguru does. I'm sure Buddha had to. I mean, these people aren't like, I'm fixed and that's it. I'm sure it was a practice. It's a constant practice when you're going. Like, I know Eckhart Tolle had cancer, right? He dealt with cancer not too long ago. I'm sure he wasn't happy about it. I'm sure there was emotions and there was feelings there, or maybe even a little bit of fear. Now he's he's mastered in what he does. I'm sure he handled it excellent from what everybody says. He handled it beautifully. I mean, thankfully he was cleared and everything's okay. But at the same time, I'm sure he had to practice his way through that, right? Because we are flesh and blood human beings, and when we start to believe that we are greater, we are divine, or that we're too good to experience things, or we know better, I say that's the biggest trap of all, right? That's the ego going, yeah, we got this. Don't worry about it. And then I get my ears start ringing, and my ego goes, what the fuck? I don't know. What am I going to do? That part of your mind is not the part of the mind that's going to handle those issues well. That's where the awareness and the mindfulness and all that comes in.
So I don't know what kind of coach you'll be, but
it didn't sound very enthusiastic.
But you meaning I don't know how it's going to play out for you in the real world, but I can tell you that this is what's going to make you an incredible coach, because you're not.
You mean as far as like a business?
No.
You're saying before you don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either.
But you're not like an NPC. So, like you just said, yeah, a non-player character.
Non-player character. Yeah, think about it for a second. I got that.
Because, like you just said, he goes, you know what? That's a good way. Like you gave me props for an angle that you already knew, but you brought it back up. Because this is it. Exactly. Like, it's not that you have all the answers. It's not that you're quote unquote cured. It's not, no.
Nobody's
cured. It's that thinking. It's that being that is going to have you draw a lot of value for your client, for that person you're helping.
It's teaching them how to transcend. Remember you were talking before about transcendental meditation, right? We had a conversation before the show about it. Henry's been dabbling in a little bit. It's so the one thing about that, I love the one word in there, transcend. And when I say it in my book, right? Universal Ends, Transcending OCD, Anxiety. It's not beating, curing. It's rising above, but it's not that it's not there anymore. It's that you realize you are not that thing.
It's a very hard. And I was talking to my life coach about it, and I said, you know what? I think I'm in this middle period. It's hard to explain.
What do you mean the middle period?
Exactly. It's hard to explain. There was before, which is the unconscious. Then there's this process you go through where you're developing consciousness, and every day that passes, you're let's say you're getting more add-ons, you're getting more you're adding more to your software.
You're sharpening that skill a little bit more. You're getting a little bit, I don't
Right.
say better at it, but
So there's this,
your awareness grows.
right, and then there's this period, and then eventually, now you teach it. You can reflect it. You can
Practice it.
practice it. So, like in my journey, I think I'm in that. If you ever seen Earthworm? It has this little connector. I don't know if you ever
It's a
seen it.
game.
No, an Earthworm.
Oh, an earthworm. Yeah.
You see, it's like it looks different from here to here, but it has this little connector. All right, I'm in that little connector phase where, that one part of me was the old unconscious. Then I'm going through this renaissance, and then what comes out forward is going to be everything that happens is conscious. It's different. It's not like it happened to me. More so,
It happens through you.
right.
It doesn't happen to you. It happens through you.
Talk about finish. That's okay, because I couldn't put a word to it, but that's
It
exactly
doesn't happen
right.
to you. It happens through. And listen. It's when you look at it that way, it's a very. You could take a breath because you realize that it's not who we are, and it's hard. I guess it's hard. It can be hard to understand that, or grasp that, especially if this is something that's new. When we say it happens through you, it happens through you because I always say, I've always been heard and I've read and I've been told, and I agree with that. We are the universe. We're not humans experiencing the universe. We're the universe. We don't experience the universe. The universe experiences being us. So the universe is experiencing being a human. We're not humans experiencing the universe. So I say we're actually, because we're all connected, right? We're the universe experiencing itself through us, a human being, right? So this is my shell. I've just created an identity for it because I have this thing called the mind. Creates an identity. Identity creates stories. Stories create drama. Drama creates problems. Problems create, and it keeps going and going until we remember that we're not that. Now, life is going to pull you back into that because in order to live life, unfortunately, and engage in life, in order to engage in life, we have to play the role of this person that we are, right? Like this husband, the father, friend, podcast. Like we have to play this role, but that's all it is a role. It's not the key is not attaching to it. So like, and we all do, myself included, attaches to it at some point, and that's where the pain comes. That's where the suffering comes, because now I go, oh, this is who I am. I'm defective. I'm damaged. I'm this. I'm hurt. I'm bad. I'm not good. And you put all these labels on why you're not, but we're not. We're just we're playing roles during the day just to experience whatever this is. And when that role is done, put it down. Like done. That's it. I'm no longer the father right now. Yes, you're a father of your children all the time, but we can create the story where I'm a father of my children. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm this. I'm that. You know the burden you keep on yourself 24/7. If you think because then it's a never ending. You make it a job. Yes, I'm a father. Of course I am. I love my family. Take care of my family. I'm a husband. I love my wife. I take care of my wife. I love my parents. I help my parents. It's a friend. I'm a good friend. But when we burden ourselves with those labels, like now I need to live this all the time a certain way. I become this. I become that. Where's the flexibility? And without that flexibility is when something happens and goes wrong, we're not prepared to bend. Instead, we break.
Anybody who's a little bit of an NPC would have heard that and say, "No, what the hell is that?"
Yeah, I would have said the same thing 8 years ago. I know what the hell is that?
But until you really dabble in it and understand it and understand the benefits that it brings, you're just gonna be in that little unconscious state. And it's weird, man. I go through my life and I learn more every day. Like I guess we were talking about open neural pathways. Like every day, like I feel like I open new pathways.
Sure.
Every day I feel like I learn more. Every day I feel like I observe more. And you become
I like that word, by the way.
You become
Think about learning more. You observe more.
But it's weird because you observe so much more without trying. In other words,
yeah,
this just comes to you. Like usually it's revolving connections with people. And you're just observing these connections, and then you're observing like, oh, that person would benefit from a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or if you just reframed it like this, like
Well, you start to see in people the identities, the labels, the mental blocks, the emotional blocks that are in place automatically.
Yeah, and without talking, so I won't talk. I'll just hear
you can listen to somebody talk and you can pick up on it.
And then I start thinking, like, there was an event that I was witness to yesterday, and I'm listening to, well, how'd that person handle it? And then when I hear how they handled it, that's a very unconscious approach. That's a very conscious approach.
Yeah, you become more aware and in tune to.
It's
to realizing
it's
those
great.
things. Yeah.
It's hard to explain, but it's great to do that. That's true. But yeah. Yeah. So don't think too much of your tinnitus.
No.
It's part.
I'm saying, but it's funny how
it's part of your preparation.
Listen, I mean, I don't know if it's tinnitus anyway at the end of the day, but whatever it might be, it is a form of it right now. But whatever it is, I mean,
as was everything that happened to me.
Do I get to choose?
You get to choose now. Yeah. For example, nobody invited the ringing. Nobody said, "Hey, can I get some ring?" No. So
I actually asked the universe yesterday, what the fuck? Now what? I was like, really? I didn't say really, but I was like, okay. Remember we had the episode, you don't get what you want, you get what we don't get what we want, we get what we need.
Mick Jagger.
Is that what he said?
The Rolling Stones, right?
Yeah, isn't it?
You don't really get what you want. You get what you need. It's a song. It's a Rolling Stones song.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. You don't get what you want, you get what you need. And for some reason, I don't know, I guess I need it.
Yeah, you turned to the sky and you gave it the Italian.
The Tommy Cutlass, if you're a Giant fan. Giant fans get this. Tommy Cutlass. Oh, ma che cazzo. The universe said, insomma, what do you want me to tell you? I figured you were getting bored, John. I'll give you something to work on. All right, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's how it is, man.
Yeah, anyway. So, you can't, it's we kind of touch on a few different topics today, but, whatever you're going through, just don't, it's easy for me to say don't attach to it. I get it. But if you look down, if you close your eyes, can you see what it'd feel like if everything was okay? Or if that goal was accomplished? Or if that issue disappeared? Or if that sickness or that thing that you're dealing with wasn't there? Can you see what it would feel like? Well, start living your life like that now. You don't have to wait till it's gone or it's resolved for you to live your life that way. And I mean, listen, more often than not, I mean, there's Dr. Joe says there's scientific proof. I haven't done any research on it, and I'm sure that there is. I mean, a lot of spiritual teachers talk about it, and even Western medicine has gotten into it. There is a direct correlation between not how we think, but how we respond to our thoughts and how we live our lives on a daily basis and our health and everything else around it. So like, if you choose to live your life the way you want to, in spite of me having ringing in my ear at times in the day or not, or having an issue you're dealing with, and you choose to live your life anyway, well, you're living your fullest, your best, the most enjoyable life that you can live in spite of it. And I mean, it's isn't that really what this is all about at the end of the day?
In a complete way. In other words, what you're focusing on improving in a certain aspect also reverberates on other aspects of your life.
Yes.
Let me give you this very poignant example.
I don't know. What are you pointing at?
So this is very circumstantial in the sense it just so happens that it worked out this way.
Okay.
But one of the things that I would work on is my North Star of making sure that whatever has to get done gets done without the stories, the excuses of why they didn't get done. But that bleeds over into also other goals that I may have, other interests that I may have. For example, if I get to the gym enough, well, it's enough. But I would like to go to the gym. Like we talked about this before, but just to give you an idea of where I am. So we're at the 30th of the month right now.
Yes.
And this thing tracks my. This is an app. I was talking. We're talking about this app with Lou. We went out to eat. Where once you meet your goal of 12, the insurance company sends your account $20.
Yeah, for working out.
Okay. But again, so in 30 days, I've been to the gym 19 days.
It's great.
Of 30.
Yeah.
There were many days that I'm tired. But I know the benefit. I know. So we go. And that's what I'm saying is that in all angles of your life, in all facets, things start to kind of go the right way. And
yes.
This is circumstantial.
Yeah.
I was able to go.
Maybe
I had to work. Maybe I had to travel. Whatever. But just saying that things kind of not snowball, but they kind of gravitate towards a better situation, right?
Sure,
like I said,
agreed.
Your relationships with people, with your wives, your kids, people in general, things just start to kind of improve, or you kind of put yourself in the best spot to make the best decision, the best. It may not be, but it's a better one than being blind and say unconscious and closed. Anyway, just saying that other things tend to improve when you
if you live a life that way. Yes, things can only improve when you live your life that way. They really can. They can only improve because if the situation doesn't change, at least your experience with it does.
Yeah, and this is where that whole positivity comes in, where try to use positivity and gratitude to steer you. It's great. It's it makes all the difference. Like we can be talking about the negative just as much as we're talking about the positive.
And it's very easy, by the way, to talk about the negative constantly. It's very easy because it comes natural for us to want to seek reassurance, complain, tell you how I'm feeling, because it makes us feel better for a couple of minutes that you're talking about it, but all you're doing is reinforcing that in your mind again, and it keeps you in that pattern. Now you're going to want to talk to somebody else and tell them why this sucks.
And the misery loves company.
And when you're going to want to talk to somebody else, you're going to want to tell them why this sucks. And then you're going to want to tell somebody else why this sucks. Then you're going to realize all you're doing is your conversations is you're telling everybody why this thing sucks. And now you've spent X amount of your life telling everybody why this thing sucks.
Actually, I'm going to throw this out there. Think about it. When you go to therapy, right? Usually,
it depends on the therapy. Yeah.
Well, a psychologist.
Yeah.
Usually, it's because I can't take this anymore. Usually.
Yes, but it's different. Okay.
No, but just follow the logic. When you get in front of that therapist, what's that first interaction like?
I mean,
usually it's you vomiting a bunch of negative.
Yes, but that's their discovery session.
Of course, but
they need to find out.
Now bring that to everyday interactions. It's people wanting to vomit what's bothering them.
Yes, but a therapist a trained therapist will cut that off. Not cut it off, but they're going to guide you away from that and teach you how to stop doing that and show you a better way. But normal conversations, no, go ahead.
So what happens? The person in front of you is not a trained therapist. You have a need to get that off your chest. The person in front of you also has a need to get that off their chest. So what happens is the ping pong of negativity, right? So, hey, dude, I'm 2 months behind on my fucking mortgage, bro. You, bro? Forget about it. I got the letter. They're going to repo the car, bro. My credit is fucking horrible. Are you kidding me? Nah, bro, you give me sales are horrible right now, man. Nobody's buying shit, man. You give me the interest rate. Negative. Because none of us, between the two of us, none of us are equipped, knowledgeable, aware, conscious. We're doing damage to ourselves.
Well, that's why it's important to realize if you're doing that, that's not benefiting you at all. It's not getting it off your chest. Like that whole adage, get it off your chest. You get it off your chest once. Like once. It's like, okay, I'm going to say I had mine yesterday by the garbage pail with the universe. I got it off my chest. Oh, that was mine. Really? Like, okay, all right. I guess this is okay. Like that was my get. So now what's the point of, as soon as you came downstairs, right? You came in here. You started talking. We were talking about stuff. Did I jump in right away and go, Henry, what did I know? No, but I got to tell you this. My God, it was in conversation. You were like, so how you been doing? I'm like, I'm doing all right. I go, just been dealing with a little bit of, so it's like, how much do I want to? How much is any, like, if I want to go around and everybody I see my neighbor, I'm going to tell him, I'll see him, I'm going to tell him, I'll see him, I'm going to tell him, I'll see him, I'm going to tell him. Go down.
You're conscious.
Oh my God. But it'll make me feel better for 30 seconds because like you get that release. You almost feel like, and this is good for people to hear, you get that release like that. Somebody knows. Okay, good. Somebody fucking knows. Now what? Now all you're doing is telling the next person, you're not resolving anything because you're attached to that and you keep telling the same story over and over and over and over and over again. If it's something you could fix, yeah, by means, go get the help to fix it. If it's a physical issue, go to a doctor. If it's a mental, if you're dealing with something, go to a good therapist, talk to them. But to just stay in a rut and label yourself and identify with that rut, what are you doing?
That was a big one. Identify with that rut.
Identify with the rut. I mean, is that what you want to do?
And many people identify with the rut. They said, no.
Oh, big time. Are you kidding me?
Forget it. That's just me, man. I'm the one that everything bad happens to. Okay. That's just me. Forget about it. That's you know.
So it's and then we'll cut it short now. Yeah. Well, we'll end it. But yeah. So I mean, what started out in Henry's lovely story about his Christmas
change of behavior,
kind of led us down the road of, attachment again, which is something we've talked about a lot of times, but we put a new flavor on it today with a little bit of things that are going on in my life, things that he's experienced in his life, and just like how we just keep practicing it, and that's it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll leave you with this. Yeah. Bob Proctor, he's funny. I love that guy.
Yeah, I follow him on Facebook now. I think on
Instagram. Bob, one of the lessons was, he goes, you know what you want. You know what you want to be. You know what you want to do, right? So it's up here. And you're down here right now. You got to get in line with that frequency. He goes,
yeah, he's fixed it that a lot.
So he goes, you're going to do it, ready? As soon as I get the money. Then I'm going to do it as soon as I lose a few pounds. That's what you're going to do it. As soon as the car's paid for, then I'm going to do.
That's what we were saying before, right? With
that's what I'll leave you with the Bob Proctor.
That's what we were saying before with if you could see it, live it now. Don't wait for it to happen.
Yeah. And then you said, I'll be 80 years old.
I'll be 80 years old. Hey, I did it. And the next day, it was a good one day, I guess. I don't know.
When I hear him say it, it's great because, not everything Bob Proctor says or suggests is a good advice. He's got one. He goes, I talked to Mary and Bob Baker from Lansing, Michigan. He goes, and I remember Bob came to me and he said, Bob, he goes, I got a problem, Bob. And he says, what's the problem? What's the problem, Bob? He says, I want to buy a house. He goes, well, what's stopping you? He goes, well, my finances are in play. He goes, what kind of house do you want? He goes, well, we're looking at this rent. Long ass story. He goes, well, you don't have that house because you just haven't decided that you're going to get it. He goes, that day, I called. He made some story up of how that guy bought the house he wanted. I'm like, yo, there's a whole bunch of holes in the story that haven't been filled.
Exactly.
But
there's a lot of things that have to be in
the moral of the story.
Yeah. He skipped a few steps there.
Pick up the vibe, pick up the ideas that there is something to this.
Yeah.
There is something to this.
There is. And like the Bob Proctor, the Joe Dispenza, the more spiritual approach, it's really whichever one resonates with you the best.
Yeah.
Or a mix of them all.
That's why you see.
Or a little bit of them all.
I'm an experimenter. You know what I mean? Like
I'll do the same thing. I'll do a little Joe, I'll do a lot of my own stuff, and I'll do a little bit of ACT at times, just because they're all applicable in different ways, right? And they all have cool little tools you can use when your mind acts up on you.
Yeah, like I said, I said I wanted to learn about transcendental, and I wanted to, do it on my own, and I've had, the few times I've done it, yeah, it's nice experiences. I think it's nice. So
All
give it a
right.
try.
Let's give it a try. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 50. I'm going to say 57, but I can be wrong. I think it's 57. Episode 57. And everybody have a healthy, a joyous, and hopefully a plentiful new year, bountiful new year for you and your families. Enjoy the day tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of this little holiday break we got. And then we will see you guys in 2024. The last one of 2023.
And may positivity tint all you do. Just I hope that positivity bleeds in all aspects of your life, so that you can see that there's a yin and a yang to everything.
There's a yin and a yang like the back of my truck. That's true.
It's easy to focus on the negative and get on that loop, but find the positive and give it some attention. And the light, is there light? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Great. Right. So I would say that's your North Star, as I make reference to it. But yeah, I would say start with the meditations. Start with, we were talking about goals a few episodes ago, affirmations. Just 2024 is or let's say New Year's resolutions is where everybody thinks of it as a clean slate. But every day is a clean slate. You don't have to wait to the magical 12/31. That's like saying as soon as 12/31 hits, it could be March 18, and March 19 is going to be March 19 today. That's it. But decide, and I think when you decide and you start giving this a shot, and you start saying, well, I feel better, and you kind of have you start seeing things differently, you start having different outlook, and you remember us. And hopefully now when you watch the show, it's more of a deep connection where I'm going to try that. I know what you're talking about. It happened to me. And then maybe you can, chime in and send this little message. You know what you should try? Whatever. Open. But
yeah, agree.
Have a great 2024. Finish 2023 beautifully and in peace. And have a great 2024.
All right. Cool beans. All right, let's do like we usually do. We'll end the show with a little quick couple of minutes just to get ourselves recentered, and we'll send you on your way. All right, so however you are seated or standing or walking or driving, wherever you are right now. If you're driving, don't do this. But if you are walking, that's fine, or else just get a nice upright position. Let's start by taking a few deep breaths. And what I want to work on today, something I was working on this morning and yesterday myself. As you take a few deep breaths, I want you to bring your attention to any sounds that you have around you. And I want you to focus on the sound as far out as you could go. So the faintest of sounds that you could hear, whether in your room or outside, whatever sounds you could hear, I want you to focus on the farthest sound that you could pick up. And just listen to that. And that doesn't matter what the sound is, no judgmental label to what it is, but just hear it. Anything that you could pick up that's farther away. Then you could pick up a sound that maybe is a little bit closer to you. Keep breathing while you're doing this. A shift to another sound that you might be hearing. And if you're in a place where there's not many sounds, then you could just focus on, if you're in a quiet room where there's really nothing going on, and you're not hearing any external noises, just focus on your breath. That's fine too. The sound of your inhale and the sound of your exhale. Again, the point is, like we do in every week's episodes as we finish, just to show us we could shift our focus to where we want it, from a farther sound to a closer sound. That's the awareness. Doesn't mean the other sounds stop, but we just shift our focus to the one that we want. Let's take a couple of more breaths. One last one. And open your eyes. All right, we are done, everybody. Have a great week. Enjoy your New Year's, and we will see you guys next year. Peace.
Do this.
The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.